Hello, this is Susan Poss. We are still working in Chapter 7. We are still in the first section. And I've gone through how do you find restrictions on variables? How do you reduce fractions down to lowest terms, rational expressions down to lowest terms? What are the common errors that you want to avoid? So now we're going to talk about multiplication with rational or fractional expressions. And this first one, I don't know if you need me to do all this, but I will. I'm going to expand these values and factor if I can. And you will not need to do this every time. I'm just doing it for this first example to try to illustrate where everything is coming from. So all I've done here is expand these out. You may have forgotten some of your exponent rules from Chapter 5. If you find yourself struggling with exponents, you're going to want to go back and review Chapter 5. All right, so now we're doing a times operation here. I have factored, and that you're going to hear me say this again and again, I factored the numerators, I factored the denominators. Now I'm looking for those common factors that can be canceled out. First, I notice a 5 that can go. I also notice a 3 that can be canceled. I notice 1x here. I notice 2 y's here. I notice 1x here and 1 y here. Now these can get kind of messy, so you have to be real careful that you don't lose track of anything. Let me see if I see anything else that could be canceled. On the top, do I see any matching x's on the bottom? No. Do I see any matching 2's on the bottom? No. Looks like all the y's are gone. I think I'm good. So here I see an x, a 2, and some more x's there. So I'm going to multiply all these back together. Looks like I have 3 factors of x and no factors of y. And again, that's Chapter 5 if you've forgotten your exponent rules. Here's 3 times 3 times y times y times y times y. And the rest are all 1's times 1. So it looks like I have 9 y to the second. Oops, I'm forgetting these. Y to the 4th. Looks like I have 4 factors of y still standing down there, and I have a 3 times 3. So that's my reduced multiplied answer. And here are your restrictions out here. Neither variable can be 0. All right, so that's the first one, working with monomials, which are single terms. Let me scroll on down and let's take a look at the second one. Notice the operation is times. Your rule here, we're going to try to factor everything in the numerator that can be factored, and we're going to try to factor everything in the denominator that can be factored. So the only thing I'm noticing here is that difference of squares, which I can factor, and I might go ahead and write that x times x down there. So I'm looking around. Notice everything is now in terms of multiplication here. If I take all of that, that's a fair, legitimate operation. So I'm going to cancel out that x minus 2, and I'm going to take one of these x factors out of there. And it looks like my final answer is 1 times x plus 2 times 1 on the top, and 1 times x on the bottom, and that's where you're going to stop. And again, remember, you are not going to cancel these x's because the x on the top is connected to the 2 by an addition operation, and you can only cancel when connected with multiplication operation. I'll do this one really fast. I don't know that you need to see me do this. So factor, factor, here's a trinomial with a lead coefficient of 1. That should be one of the easier ones. And I see a common 3 down here. and I have just a little bit more work to do. These are already completely factored. But over in the second denominator, I notice that trinomial, and I'm asking myself, is it possible for me to factor that? So let me take a quick look at that. X and X, 1 and 1. And if I make them both minus, that would give me the -2 in the center with the X and the +1 on the end. So now I'm in business. I've got everything completely factored. Notice everything is connected in here with the times operation. So I'm seeing a pair of 3's that will cancel. I'm seeing an X minus 1 that will cancel. I'm seeing an X plus 1 that will cancel. And I believe that's all that matches. So we're going to end up, let's see what we have. We have in the top 1 times X plus 1 times 1. And in the bottom we have X times 1 times 1 times 1 times X minus 1. So that's the way that one would look. I don't think I need to do any more of these, so that's a good place